Good afternoon. Also good. I'm still hearing the video. So good afternoon. Also good morning and good evening to our online participants who may be joining us from different time zones. Welcome and I think there's something wrong. I can still hear something talking here.
You're fine.
Continue talking.
Someone is talking to
Take off the headset.
Okay. Yeah, so let's start.
No, you can't start over this. Continue.
So welcome and thank you for being here with us for our UPU Open Forum on strengthening cybersecurity for the posts and for the global posts and logistics sector. My name is Maysam Sabra from the Post Business Management Unit of the Postal Technology Center of the UPU, and I will be your moderator for this session. Just quickly for those who may not know what is the UPU is the Universal Postal Union, a United Nations agency dedicated to postal sector. What we do is we mainly coordinate international postal policies and standards among our postal operators and member countries. We also assist the postal operators in the transformation of their services toward a secure digital connectivity, and we promote collaboration. We also help ensure an efficient and secure mail delivery worldwide. As you know, the global postal network plays a critical role in facilitating trade, communication, and economic development. However, as we rely more on digital technologies, we also face increasing cyber threats such as ransomware, phishing attacks, data breaches, supply chain attacks, and this is not disrupting our operations, but also can compromise sensitive data, can damage reputation, and can erode trust within consumers and businesses. So in today's session, we aim to explore how we can strengthen our cybersecurity, how we can enhance the cyber resilience across the sector. We will be discussing maybe some strategies and best practices to build trust and security in the postal and logistics sector. So I am honored to share this platform with 5 distinguished panelists with me today. On my left, I have Mrs. Floretta Faber, the Deputy Director General and Director for International Project Coordination and Strategic Cybersecurity Development at the Albanian National Cybersecurity Authority, and Mr. Mats Lillesund, the Director of Governance and Communication Group Security Postenbring AS or Norwegian Post, and Mr. Kevin Hernandez, Digital Inclusion Expert at the Universal Postal Union. And on my right, I have Mr. Nigel Casimir, the Deputy Secretary General of the Caribbean Telecommunications Union, CTU, and Mr. Tracy Hackshaw, the head of the Post Business Management Unit of the Universal Postal Union. So we have limited amount of time. I encourage all of you, please, to keep your remarks concise so we can hear from all of you. And for our online participants, if you have any questions, please type them in the chat box, and then we will raise it on your behalf. And now let's kick off our discussion. And I would like to start immediately with Kevin Hernandez. Kevin, Kevin, you are the digital inclusion expert at the Universal Postal Union, and lately you have been working on a digital services report for the postal services, in which you dedicated a specific section on the cybersecurity for posts. So maybe you could walk us through the state of cybersecurity in the postal sector so we can discuss further on the findings of what you will show us. Please
Great.
proceed.
Thank you very much for the introduction, Maysam. So as Maysam said, my name is Kevin Hernandez. I am a digital inclusion expert at the UPU, where I work on a project called Connect.Post, with the goal of connecting all post offices in the world to the internet and transforming them into one-stop shops for essential digital services. And for all of you interested in the project I just mentioned, I'm not going to speak about it in detail in this presentation, but I have some concept notes that I can share with you, and they're here in the front. And there's also some at that post booth in the village. And although Connect.Post is not necessarily a cybersecurity project, ensuring that these newly connected post offices and the services that they offer are secure is one of our biggest concerns, and I will explain why in this presentation. So as Maysam mentioned, I was recently working on a report for the UPU, which we call the Digital Panorama Report, and it's based on a survey which we did on digital services and cybersecurity, and posts from 152 countries responded to the survey. And the survey found that posts are offering many more digital services than we were even expecting. We thought that posts offered digital services, but we could never imagine how much. So 71, and these services go well beyond the postal sector, which is really important to highlight because posts are not just offering digital postal services, but are now also offering digital services across multiple sectors. And this is super exciting from an inclusion standpoint because I don't know if any of you know, but there are over 650,000 post offices in the world, the majority of which are located in rural areas, which are specifically the places where people are less likely to use the internet and where people are most at risk of being left behind. So digital services offered through the post have significant potential to promote inclusion. For example, our survey found that 71% of posts are promoting economic inclusion for SMEs through e-commerce services. 58% are promoting financial inclusion through digital financial services. 51% are promoting social inclusion through e-government services. 11% are promoting universal health coverage through digital health services. And also 70% are directly contributing to bridging the digital divide and promoting digital inclusion by providing at least one digital connectivity service or solution. And going one step further, our survey also found that more than a third, so 34% of posts, show signs of becoming a one-stop shop for economic, financial, social, and digital inclusion by providing all three services at once, so namely digital financial services, e-commerce services, and e-governments all under the same roof. So this is one place where citizens can go and access all of these services. And this helps mitigate the risk of digital exclusion for less connected groups, while also helping governments achieve multiple public policy objectives related to these areas and also the overarching leaving no one behind SDG goal. Also, we found that posts are offering these services through multiple channels. So as you would expect, the main channel that posts use to deliver digital services is a digitally equipped post office counter through interaction with postal staff. And this is, once again, this is especially useful for less connected users because they can receive help accessing a service in person that they may otherwise not be able to access on their own due to a lack of internet access, not having an adequate device, or not having the necessary digital skills to access that service on their own. However, many posts are also offering these digital services through fully digital channels, like a website or an app, while some posts are even leveraging their delivery staff to deliver these services through staff that are equipped with digital devices like digital personal assistants or tablets or smartphones. And this can be especially useful for very remote communities or people whose mobility might be restricted. And it's also important to note that in many cases, the post may only act as the physical extension of a partner's digital service. So it's not necessarily the case that all of these services belong to the post, but that the post is being is acting as a trusted partner. So building on that, as posts begin to offer more and more digital services, they become an even more critical infrastructure that must be secured. Because they are now holding more sensitive data about customers and citizens across multiple sectors and across multiple aspects of life. And this makes the potential consequence of a disruption of a postal operator's digital system more severe. And these disruptions would disproportionately impact people in rural areas and the elderly who rely on the post for digital services the most. This also makes the impacts of breaches, identity theft, and financial losses even more severe. And although, as I mentioned before, multi-channel service delivery is great, from an inclusion perspective, it also opens up even more entry points for cyber attacks. And as a result of all this, the ability for posts to maintain trust is both more important than ever and more difficult. And it's not just important to maintain this trust for customers or for citizens, but also, as I mentioned before, for partners. Because delivering digital financial services, e-government services, and e-commerce requires partnerships with private institutions and companies and government agencies who would be reluctant to partner with an institution that they see as insecure, especially when the digital service belongs to that institution. So at this point, you might be asking, how secure are posts across the world? Are they ready to offer these services in a secure way? And our survey found that the current state of cyber hygiene best practices within the postal sector is in need of a significant improvement. So we found suboptimal implementation rates across all cyber hygiene best practices which were surveyed. Encrypted websites were the only best practice implemented by at least 2/3 of posts, and only two other practices, namely secure emails, secure staff emails, and business continuity plans were implemented by at least half of posts. Meanwhile, other best practices such as cybersecurity training were implemented by less than half of posts. And this is extremely important given that, as mentioned before, posts are utilizing a multi-channel approach to digital service delivery, which means that the postal staff are likely to be involved in delivering these services, whether it's at the counter of a post office or through the delivery staff equipped with digital devices. And less than half of posts implement cybersecurity risk management plans, and only around 40% have incident response plans and crisis management plans. So this kind of paints a picture of posts that are largely unprepared and unable to adequately respond to cybersecurity threats. And the survey also found a drastic regional difference in the implementation of these best practices. I couldn't fit all of them on this one slide, but this trend tends to hold true across all of the cyber hygiene best practices that were on the previous slide. So developing regions and posts from developing regions, and in particular 3 regions, Latin America and the Caribbean, Asia and the Pacific, and Africa regions are the least likely to implement these cyber hygiene best practices. And I want to end by highlighting another scary finding from the survey. So cybersecurity budgets of posts are not keeping up with their cybersecurity workloads. So although around 70% of posts saw an increase in their cybersecurity workload in the last 2 years, less than half of posts reported that they increased their cybersecurity budget allocations. And posts, once again, from developing regions, and in those 3 regions in particular, were the least likely to increase their cybersecurity budgets in the last 2 years. So not only are they're not well prepared from a cybersecurity standpoint, but their budgets are not keeping up with their workload. And one last thing, along with low implementation of cyber hygiene best practices and lagging budget allocations, posts are also not getting national level support responding to these cyber attacks. So only 35% of posts were affiliated with the National Information Security Incident Response Team. So as you can see, there is still a lot of work to do to secure the posts, especially as they begin to offer more digital services from multiple sectors through multiple channels. And that is it for me. I hope this presentation has helped set the stage for the discussion on cybersecurity in the post. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kevin, for the insightful presentation. Actually, it really indicates the urgent need for enhanced cyber resilience in some posts and in some region. So in light of this, I would like to hear from Nigel. Nigel, as you see from the presentation of Kevin, it indicates a low percentage of cybersecurity being offered in some posts in the Caribbean region. So maybe now you will walk us through some slides to highlight some the digital transformation in the Caribbean and the role that the CTU is playing in improving the cyber resilience in the Caribbean. Please proceed, Nigel.
Yes, thank you. I'm Nigel Casimir from the Caribbean Telecommunications Union. And I'll be looking at our status of digital transformation in the postal industry, which is not very advanced. So I think that would be part of the reason why, Kevin's results would have shown as he showed for Latin America and the Caribbean. Just to give a little background on the CTU is an intergovernmental organization in the Caribbean specializing in ICT. Our members are 20 governments and independent states and territories in the Caribbean, and we advise on ICT policy matters, and that includes things related to digital transformation, for example. This in our involvement with the postal services in the member states would probably fall under our ICT policy formulation and project coordination type parts of our mandate, as shown on the screen there. So, just setting the context for the Caribbean as far as postal digital transformation is concerned. It's happening in the context, in the more general context of our governments pursuing digital transformation generally. They're looking at introducing e-government services, and they've done that in most of our member states, and also facilitating e-commerce generally to get the economies going and to help diversify their economies. Of course, the postal services has been evolving throughout the world, and the Caribbean is no different. We've seen traditional mail services going down, while things like courier services in support of e-commerce are going up. There is competition for the traditional postal services now. Private companies involved in the courier and delivery businesses and logistics as well. And also, our traditional postal services have their obligations to continue to deal with. But in the face of all these environmental changes, there are opportunities noted for the postal services to modernize and become competitive in the markets. So really what you've been seeing, some of the initiatives, and a lot of them have been mentioned by Kevin already, they've been seeking to enhance their logistics and delivery. They've been trying to capitalize on that trusted nature of the postal services, and being used as community hubs, delivering government e-services and products, facilitating access to government services for persons who may not have their own private internet connections. Some of the financial services that Kevin also mentioned, and in some cases even they may have some facilities to help with some capacity building of the less technically savvy persons in the community. So there may be an area of a post office, especially in rural areas maybe, where the citizenry can come and get some help in maybe accessing some government services. But as the post offices try to modernize their operations and utilize the digital technologies and transform digitally, as mentioned, this comes with the attendant cyber risks and the requirements for resiliency. Now, Kevin went into some of the very specific type things, but I'll talk about what the approach the CTU has been taking. Our involvement in the digital transformation and assisting our governments, of course, is more general. And the postal services is just one aspect of our engagement with our member states, right? So in 2022, actually, at the ITU Plenipotentiary Conference in Romania, we had the opportunity to meet with the Universal Postal Union. And they apprised us of some of the new services that they had developed and in the digital sphere. And we decided that yes, we needed to partner with the UPU to help enhance the quality of our digital transformations in the postal services in the Caribbean. So shortly after that, then an MOU was signed between the CTU and the UPU, and this is a picture. This was in the initial meeting was in 2022, and this was the first half of 2023, when the Director General, they call him, and the Director General of the UPU signed this MOU with the Secretary General of the Caribbean Telecoms Union to cooperate in various areas. And this MOU, the focus of it was to promote the digital transformation of postal services in the Caribbean, and there were some specific things identified in there. Deployment of the UPU's digital readiness for e-commerce assessment. That is a program whereby the UPU would come in to individual countries and do a comprehensive assessment of the state of the particular industry and the capabilities of the postal services, and make some specific recommendations in terms of how to go forward with modernization and secure digitalization of their operations. We also were seeking to promote the adoption of the UPU's .post domain by our postal services. That is a secure domain that I think gels well with the trusted, and would tend to preserve the trusted nature of doing business with the post offices, and also implementing the UPU's Connect Post initiative in the region, which Kevin had mentioned. In fact, he said he works in the Connect Post area. So since that 2023, we have had specific engagements in the Caribbean with, I think, at least 3 of our member states, and typically with some of the larger ones. And we do have some specific recommendations now that they are implementing. Within the Caribbean, there's a Caribbean Postal Union, which is an affiliate of the UPU, and we as CTU liaise as well with the CPU in terms of fulfilling the requirements of the MOU. So that's kind of where we are. So we are getting the recommendations and start trying to implement the implementations from the UPU to enhance the cyber resiliency of the postal services in the Caribbean. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nigel. It's clear the focus of the CTU on cybersecurity through the adoption of initiatives like the .post domain or Connect.post program. It's absolutely vital to enhance the cybersecurity in the Caribbean region. Thank you very much for highlighting this. Now I would like to hear from Mrs. Floretta Faber. Floretta, you are the Deputy Director General at the Albanian National Cybersecurity Authority, but you also coordinate and lead projects on cybersecurity strategies and development. So as you know today, as cyber threats evolve, how do you see these changes are impacting on cybersecurity strategies in our organizations? And maybe you can share with us any successful initiative or best practices from Albania that have improved cybersecurity in the post and logistics sector.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here today and join this discussion. The Albanian National Authority on Cybersecurity has been especially in the last 3 years, focused in big changes in the cybersecurity domain in Albania. We had a strong state-sponsored cyber attack in mid-2022 all over the e-government services. Albania today has over 1,200 e-service towards its citizens. More than 95% of all the government services to citizens are given online. So a cyber attack on all those services, meaning really strong steps towards all the countries like Albania and democratization processes and transparency with the citizens. And since then, we have been taken strong reforms on cybersecurity and big steps forward. Part of all the transformation is the changes of law on cybersecurity, and we have a new one since May last year, which is according to NIS2 directive, the EU NIS2 directive, and a number of sub-laws on cybersecurity, which still go through the model of the European best practices and the NIS2 directive. And we look at specific sectors on cybersecurity based on the criticality, and the postal services is one of this group, which we have been working specifically. The postal system has, as it was mentioned here from the studies in Albania as well, has increased its level of digitalization, and having the attacks to through the postal service or using the name of the post has been really attacks of last year, over 15% of the attacks in the country, or efforts to attack the system. Out of 88 attacks attacks we had last year, over 15% were through the postal system. And only 3 of them were successful cases, which the post office was dealing with, and the National Authority on Cybersecurity was supporting hand to hand. We have seen specifically strong impersonating campaigns, and in 2024, all the post office, according to our grouping, is with the transportation group, and almost all the attacks last year in this group were only through the post system, specifically through domain impersonification, aiming to exploit trust really in the public facing brand. The issue carries significant weight due to far-reaching impact on the public trust and institutional integrity and the stability of critical infrastructures. Attacks on National Post Service are not isolated nor random. They have been calculated efforts to exploit institutions that serve as a fundamental touchpoint for millions of citizens who use the postal services and the digital services in their daily life. The impersonation of postal brand and the misuse of digital channels to spread fraudulent messages can erode confidence in public services and amplify the risk of financial and identity-related crimes. In this context, the importance of building a cyber resilience in the postal sector goes far beyond working on the technical issues, and it becomes a matter of protecting civil trust for the continuity of essential services in the digital area, and in a time that most of the services through the post office as well are giving through the digital systems. Because these are not issues, isolated cases, these patterns resonate globally. Maybe you have seen that in the last week, FBI issued a new alert warning for iPhones and Android users about widespread smishing campaigns, as highlighted by Forbes and the New York Post as well. Malicious actors are leveraging the names of trusted institutions, including postal services, to decide to steal and to destabilize public trust. Our data confirmed that this was the case in Albania as well. Only from January to March 2025, we have seen that over 6,500 indicators of compromise that were found through our national CERT. Over 15% of them, again, we're linked with the postal office. This means that the efforts and to attack through the cyber systems on public infrastructure in Albania, over 15% really go to one of the critical infrastructures we have. And while the numbers remain high, we have seen promising numbers. I mentioned that last year on the attacks we had 3 of them really made some issues in the institution. But this year, all the attempts, none of them has been coming to a point where there was an incident inside the post office. In response to the growing threat landscape, the Albanian National Authority on Cybersecurity has taken concrete steps in partnership with the Albanian Post Office to strengthen the sector resilience. These efforts include targeted cybersecurity training, implementation of early detection system, real-time monitoring of threat indicators, and joint incident response simulation with the authority and the postal system. We are also integrating cybersecurity requirements into the digital modernization roadmap on the national post system. Our approach is not reactive, it is proactive, is strategic, it's tailored to the unique challenges this sector faces. By aligning operational processes with security protocols, we aim to reduce the attack surface and enhance institutional readiness against evolving cyber threats. The fact that nearly all the attacks in 2025 were smishing-based tells us something crucial, that the human layer is still the weakest link in cybersecurity attacks. That's why our efforts must include not just the technical hardening, but also awareness-raising among citizens and postal employees. So first, we have been investing heavily in capacity building and the cross-sector collaboration. Cybersecurity is not a siloed challenge. It requires ecosystem-level resilience. We have developed sector-specific early warning mechanism and shared playbooks tailored for public services operators like the Post. The National CERT, which covers 7 days, 24 hours, overlooking at a number of 15 institutions. One of them is the Postal Office, because we believe that the strong efforts through this system are worth of having specifically focus on saving those systems. Second, we are working closely with postal operators to build internal cyber hygiene protocols, and it's part of all the cyber hygiene trainings that we're giving throughout the country, because since especially 2022, it was seen that it was given specific priority to the cybersecurity sector in the country, and only last year we had over 6,000 people trained on cyber hygiene, including a specific focus on having all employees of the postal office, because among all the steps taken to change the cyber ecosystem in Albania and to take the steps for changing the laws, we believe it's important to work with people and have the cyber hygiene and a new culture on cybersecurity in the country. And the request of people to have those training in increased numbers means that there is an awareness that people need to know more, unfortunately for bad reasons, because the attacks have been numerous and some of them have been successful on creating cyber incidents. People more and more are getting the awareness that they should know more what they should do in order to protect themselves and the institutions they work with in cybersecurity. As we reflect on all the developments in the country and in the postal services, we understand that it's important that this is a work in progress, and this is something which doesn't finish in a year or two. With the increase of the number of technologies used, with the increase of number of the attacks, with the increase of AI using on cyber attacks, it's also important that we get prepared technically and not only on cybersecurity, even the postal office. And we believe that it's very important that we have a strong bridge between people, how we get ready in changing technologies and having people prepared on facing those cyber attacks.
Thank you very much, Floretta, for these important highlights. The findings you indicated are very important, and we hope the strategies you are developing will help your organizations become more resilient. Now, I would like to move to Mr. Mats Lillesund, the Director of Governance and Security at Norwegian Post. So, Mats, as we mentioned earlier, we rely more and more on digital technologies, and we also live in an increasingly connected world, and the postal sector face a significant cyber threats. So, but sometimes we think that these threats are limited to developed countries, but in reality, they are also targeting big organizations and big countries. For example, we at the UPU, we have been informed of several cyber attacks that targeted big posts in big countries. So, and in today's opening session, most of the speeches emphasized the collaboration, partnership, and the power of collaboration, partnership, and cooperation. So I would like to know what's your view on the collaboration between postal organizations and industry stakeholders in enhancing cybersecurity in our sector, and what initiatives or partnership has Norway Post taken or initiated to improve, to foster this cooperation?
Yes. Thank you, and thank you for the invitation of being here, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to address your question. It's a big question, and it's an interesting one at that. But first off, a little background about Posten Bring, where I work, and Norwegian Post. So we serve actually Nordic countries of postal and logistic services, and we have approximately 14,000 employees. But our base is from Norway and Norway Posts, where we have the largest market share and also an important society function. So and of course it's a global scale, as you point out. We have the same threat challenges as any other big company have in today's threat landscape. Being that our adversaries or nature-specific threats also, which I think is an important factor in today's threat landscape and addressing cyber resilience also. And just to point out a few of those, we have everything from fraud. The people in Norway, for example, is targeted for fraud, where the Posten logo and visual components are used in phishing campaigns. To more aggressive computer attacks and vectors like that. So on the measurement side, we're of course addressing this on various angles. We have both human and competence training. We have organizational measures, and of course a lot of technical measurements and controls in place to address this. And I think it was very interesting what Kevin and the other panelists described. The different areas. I think that I recognize a lot of them, and I think that we're always aiming to get better. I think we're pretty good, but we're always aiming to get better. And when it comes to cooperation, I think that's a major factor in resolving issues. So here in Norway, we have I think we have a very open society, and we have a lot of openness in terms of security incidents. Also, companies and governments are very open, also in the media, talking about incidents. But it also means that this culture is something that you bring into your behind channels, and experts talking to experts on various issues. Some of the I would like to emphasize something that has grown in the financial sector in Norway, spread into something in the Nordic countries called financial search, which is a very good example of how a sector CERT function can work together among banks and insurance companies to leverage each other's capacities and knowledge to address cyber issues. So I think it's a very important aspect of both to be prepared and to discuss the issues when they arise as incidents.
Thank you very much. Actually, it's very important and inspiring, the cooperation you just highlighted. Thank you very much for your invaluable insights. I would move now to Tracy, last but not least. Tracy, you are the head of .post unit at the UPU, and lately you have been working on some cyber resilience initiatives. So if you could please give us some details on the cyber resilience initiatives and the role of the UPU in promoting cyber resilience among the postal sector and logistics sector.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Sam. And good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are in the world. I know time is short, so I'm going to move pretty swiftly so we can get some questions in, if there are any questions already. I just wanted to make one observation. When Nigel pointed out the work we did with the CPU, the Caribbean Postal Union, just to reiterate that they were actually a .post user. So they migrated their website from something else to CPU.post, and they're now running a secure email and secure hosting environment. Just wanted to make that observation. So I'm going to move pretty swiftly and show on this slide, just reiterating some of the issues related to attacks in the postal sector. As you can see from the slide, over the last several years, we've had quite a number of reports, public reports of cyber attacks in the postal sector, and not limited only to, as was said before, developing countries, but also related to, countries in North America and Europe and otherwise. So it's not limited to countries which are least resourced, but as Kevin's research pointed out, there's a heavy risk or a large risk in those countries where the resources are the least deployed, and therefore they could be seen as potential low-hanging fruit for cyber attackers. As we go into our initiatives, as Mesa mentioned, we are implementing a series of projects at the UPU within our cyber resilience program. You would have heard mention already about the .post initiative, and essentially that's a program which looks to utilize the DNS, the domain name system, to secure what we call the edge of the network for the postal sector. So if you're running a website, you're running email, and so on, you will be able to use a secure top-level domain, which is what the UPU has, .post, that is dedicated to the postal sector, and that you, as the postal sector, as a post office, as a postal operator, or as a postal player in the sector, meaning providing services, you're a technology operator, you're making envelopes, packages, you're in the customs sector, you're in the airline sector, you can utilize the .post domain, and that's available today via our Trust.post platform. As you can see from this slide, We've established a digital framework in which we look to, wrap the entire sector with a series of services, including, as we just mentioned, our cyber resilience services. Just swiftly, mentioning what .post brings to the table. It's a major cyber resilience infrastructure. Within that infrastructure, we have a series of compliance measures that relate to our overall cyber security framework, and we look to implement it as a secure digital identity, that .post domain. We also are looking to deploy, as I said, services, secure email, secure hosting, and other secure services. So if you're in the sector and you're looking for secure services, please do reach out to us to see how best we can work with you to secure your online transactions and services. As I mentioned, we have a shared services platform via trust.post. That's live today, and you can check it out as you speak right now. We also have a offer for all posts in the Small Island Developing States category, SIDS, or least developed countries. If you scan this QR code right now that you can see on screen, you can provide us with some information, and we may be able to assist you with a funding package to get you up and running in your journey in digital transformation securely. We also have a project called Secure.post, which we are currently rolling out. Today, we are right now live only with our check URL. And that is, if you go to Secure.post today, you'll see a facility where you can test any URL that is suspicious to see if it's been reported for scams or malware within the global cyberspace. And you can also use that same platform to report a suspicious link, potential phishing link, etc. So that's available via that platform today. Coming soon, we'll be rolling out an entire range of services on that platform, learning, testing, and also potentially directing you to our various partners within the Secure.post framework. I will just quickly run and show you who they are. So today we're running with just a short list of these partners who some of the top alliances and institutions within the cybersecurity space globally. In addition to what we do in the Secure.post platform, we also are about to implement something called an ISAC, an information sharing and analysis platform. And that ISAC essentially looks to provide a secure, trusted platform where posts and other stakeholders within the sector can confidentially and securely share information and collaborate to deal with the threat intelligence landscape, as was mentioned earlier by our colleague from Albania. That threat intelligence landscape is evolving on a daily basis, and we encourage all posts and their stakeholders, meaning in the supply chain, vendors, academic institutions, as I said, customs bureaucrats and airlines, etc., to reach out to us to join us in this journey on building a global postal ISAC. I will show you very rapidly a link in which you can reach out to us by completing this information on this form via QR code, and you can express interest in joining us on this journey to implement a postal sector ISAC. I really know time is short, and I apologize for being so rapid, but I'm going to stop here to ensure we have some questions and maybe elaborate as the case may be. So thank you so much for listening to me, and maybe hand back over to Maysam now so she can facilitate any questions or comments either in the room or remotely. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Tracy, for your presentation. I believe the cyber resilience program is essential for postal organizations to build a resilient infrastructure. So online with me, actually we have 8 minutes left, so I'll take a question from online from Mutu Sami. In the process of digitizing, broadening, and networking post offices and services, is the physical non-tech infrastructure of the post offices and jobs expanded to suit the technological expansion. Also, while postal services become digital, the post office can become a fallback hub in extraordinary situations of disruption in digital infrastructure. Has the design of post-modernization considered these possibilities and needs? Who would you like to answer the question?
That question had two parts. I guess I can go with the first part. And from my understanding, the question was trying to get at whether the digitalization of the post replaces jobs in some way. And I would say not really. Actually, what's happening is the post is now offering more services. But the problem is that the people who work at post offices need to be upskilled, because in the past they might not have been working on so many digital platforms at once, or they might not have been working on any digital platform at all. So they need to be upskilled, not just on how to use the digital technology, which is one thing, but then also on how to use these specific platforms, and then also how to ensure that they're doing it in a secure way. So you need basic digital literacy training, and then you're going to also need digital training on the specific platforms that are used for each type of service, because it might be the case that the e-commerce platform is different from the digital government platform, which is different from the digital financial service platform. So they need to learn how to use all of them. And then on top of that, they need cyber hygiene training to ensure that, they're not opening themselves up for some cyber attacks.
I have.
But just one last thing. We're trying to really position the post as a place where you can access digital services with a human touch, because I think that's the key, and that's the role that the postal sector can play. It's a place where you can get help accessing a digital service. That's the unique value proposition of the post. So it is key. I mean, we need the postal staff.
Yeah, just to supplement what Kevin was saying. In fact, in terms of the question, I understood a little bit differently, and I see the questioner did put an additional comment that his implication was that it had the opportunity to create more jobs, right? In addition to upskilling and so on. The other part of his question related to use of the postal infrastructure in as a kind of a disaster fallback situation. It is something that could possibly be taken into account, and that is something that I think the individual countries would have to cater for in their own disaster management plans. So,
Thank you, Nigel and Kevin. I'll take now a question from the audience. Please go ahead.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for your insights. I'm Ahita. I'm representing the Youth IGF, India. So I work in the space of external threat monitoring. And when you talk about logistics and post, that's something that it's an industry that we come across, but not so often. So in terms of catering to a bunch of clientele, right? So my question is that when we are tracking a lot of these threats, that could be your phishing kits, that are impersonating the postal services, or leaked credentials, or you mentioned compromised third-party vendors. These are all external threats. So when the focus, usually what we see in the industry is that the focus is on internal threats or having solutions that are monitoring all the internal possibilities of vulnerabilities. So I just want to understand how it could be directed to Tracy, because you mentioned post-ISAC, that how is it positioned to shift that balance from bringing more attention to external risks and external threats, especially in regions which have very limited visibility or other resources to focus on external in addition to internal threats that are there in the space.
Thank you very much. Very good question. That's exactly what I think the ISAC is trying to do. So I'm not sure if I was able to convey the message clearly, but it's focused on collaboration between all of the stakeholders in the sector. So the thinking is, just to give an example, if we are onboarding the post offices, let's say all 992 postal operators, the idea is that we'll also onboard the supply chain, those who serve them, and it could be, and it's a very diverse an extensive supply chain, including right up to the delivery partners, airlines, shipping companies, the whole thing. All of those external entities are essentially risk factors to the entire sector, because they're not only potentially targets by cyber attackers, but as you mentioned, all the software that runs this environment, which can be shared. You're sending messages between parties. So just to share with you, and my colleague from the Post may want to elaborate, when you scan a barcode, that message goes everywhere. So when you're tracking and tracing, it's going through a network, and at every point in that network, there's a potential failure, and there's a potential way of getting that an attack, literally speaking. So the ISAC is designed to identify those stakeholders and bring them together, I won't say for the first time, but certainly in a way that would allow the information to be shared, literally, and for collaboration to begin happening, so that it wouldn't be seen only as an internal risk, but also identifying that the external risks, and that we deal with it from that standpoint. So I hope that will be the first and major time that happens in the sector, to get this done effectively. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. With this, we come to the end of our session. It was short, but I hope it was inspiring and insightful for all of you. I would like to thank my panelists for being with us today. I would like to thank the online participants. And if you would like to continue conversations or discuss further, please visit us at the UPU Secure.Post booth. We will be happy to continue conversations. Thank you once again for your participation, and see you.